I had a video all ready to go today, but it seems like we've got a more important topic in our world, and that's the coronavirus. This has taken over jobs and schools, daycares, really our lives in almost every way. So we should talk about that, not particularly about the coronavirus, but what happens when we get sick, and I want to focus in on death and what happens after death. We're all going to die, and I think it's good to talk about and think about that. I realize that my thoughts on death and the afterlife, every single thing I'm saying in this video is influenced by the way that I was raised, born and raised in Canada in a Christian nation, Christian setting, raised on Christian values. I realize that those thoughts are going to impact this video. But I also realize some of my viewers, one in particular, Hi Prati from Sri Lanka, he was born and raised believing in many gods and could have a completely different view on the afterlife. And I'm not here to debate religious views on what happens after we die. I want to think about it in a logical way. So let's do that. What happens after we die? Logically speaking, I think there's only two options. Am I wrong about that? There's either something or there's nothing, right? 50-50 chance, something, nothing. The lights are on and we can see and experience, or not see, but we can at least, we're aware of something and we can experience something. Maybe we'll be able to see, I don't know. Or the lights are off and there's nothing. It's just a black. There should be no fear, I hope, if the lights are off. Everybody has experienced that. Just think back 2 years before you were born. Nothing, right? I don't think there should be fear if there's nothing. It's if there is something that, yeah, I understand, that's unknown, right? Nobody knows what happens there, and there could be some anxiety about that. Obviously, there's anxiety about how you die, and is it going to be painful, and who gets left behind, and the sadness there. But I'm just talking about you and after you die. So if the lights are on, how do we approach that logically? If there is something, what can we do? We can turn to Harry Potter, I think. I love in the first book when Harry and Dumbledore are talking at the very end of the book, one of their friends is going to die. And Harry's upset about that a little bit, and he says to Dumbledore, wow, he's going to die. And Dumbledore says, hey, after all, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Now, I love that quote. I think it's great, for two reasons. It's got the adventure part in there, and if the lights are on, I hope it's an adventure. But the other part is the well-organized mind, and that's what I want to focus in on. How do we organize our minds so that we're ready for death? How do you prepare for it? And I think we should, right? It's going to happen. So some people go right to a bucket list. Well, I've got to try. I've got to get things done. I got to do all these things before I die, and that's fine. For me, I'd love to go take pictures of the big 5 animals in Africa and swim with sharks. It really is on my bucket list. But financially, I can't do that right now, so I can move on to the next step, Simply imagining myself on my deathbed, looking back, I should, is there anything left undone? Is there anything I should have done? Is there people I should have talked to? Is there relationships I should have healed? We talked about regrets just last week. Yeah, I should take care of those. I don't want to be on my deathbed, look back, and there's something that's undone or unsaid. So let's, I think, take care of those things right now. I should live in a way that I'm proud and die in a way that I'm proud. So again, I want to look back and think about how I lived, the type of person I was. I want to be able to take a big exhale and just say, I think I lived in a good way, in a way that I'm proud of. You also could think about values. A lot of religions and philosophies talk about these values that we live by and the idea that they could continue on for eternity. That's kind of interesting. And so we see it in movies a lot. If I live in an honorable way and I die in an honorable way, then I'm ready to face whatever happens next. And so I want to, for me anyway, I want to think about living according to a certain set of values. And if those values continue on for eternity, it should just be a straight transfer. I mean, that's my idea anyway. And those values could continue on, and I'm right in there still living by those values whatever comes next. Obviously, I could be completely wrong about that, but that's one way to think about it and be ready for it. Another way to ask yourself, do I have a reason to be afraid? I mean, not afraid of dying. Obviously, the pain is going to be there, perhaps, and I don't like that. But after, if the lights are on and I'm there after, do I have a reason to be afraid? And what would that reason be? And is there a way for me to influence that now in some way? That's a good question and a good thing to think about. And I think probably the last thing I would do is talk to people about it, about death and dying. Go for coffee with people and talk about it, and not be afraid to talk about it. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts? And how are you getting ready for it? And can I do the same kind of things? I think talking about it would be a good thing. So that's my advice today. The coronavirus is a real thing and it is scary. So I think death and dying is real, and we should be ready for it. I'm ready for it. I've lived a happy life. I don't enjoy thinking about people that I would leave behind, and that would be very sad for them, but I am. I've got the organized mind, and I'm ready for the next adventures. So yeah, what about you? That's the thoughts for this week. We'll talk to you more next week. Yeah, love to you all.